What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, and 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And through that collaboration last year, reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 fathers around the world. And as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, solution for someone's problem. We are broadcasting live on December 2nd. Yes, December is here. The end of the year is fleeting and coming really fast. So we're going to make the best of it. We're going to squeeze every juice out of that orange of 2022. So Morning Vibe here. Unfortunately, Ryan is not with us this morning. He has to attend a funeral. So he sends his best wishes and he'll be back with us on Monday. So we have a few little things to get done today. A little, let's start off. Let's start off with this. Hey, Dr. Vibe and the Dr. Vibe Show has been nominated in the Best Canadian Podcaster category in the People's Choice Awards that's being held by BuyBlacks.com. And for those who watch on a somewhat regular basis or even once or twice, you know, Roger Dundas and Camille Dundas are the head of BuyBlacks.com, Black Canada's #1 online magazine. And I am encouraging, this is my call to action for today, for you to vote. And the nice thing is you can vote more than once. You can vote every 24 hours. And the voting started yesterday. And it goes until the end of this month. So you can vote more than once. So I'm going to take a really quick second here to show you all how you can vote for the Dr. Vibe Show in the best podcast category. So we're going to do a quick shared screen here and show how you can do it. So we should have the screen coming up here. All right. So this is when you go to the link, buyblacks.com/PCA vote. So when you click on that buyblacks.com/PCA /vote, you see, this is the page you'll get to. And I'm showing, you see here, People's Choice Awards. If you click on that, this is what's going to happen. Okay, this is what should happen. Let me just see. Okay, we're going to get there. All right, here we go. Let's go. Let's see if it works. There we go. Okay, so you will then be brought to this page here. And there's 3 nominations. Black People Check In, On the Path with Cheryl Nebard, and there's the Dr. Vibe Show. If you click on the Dr. Vibe Show, it will take you to my bio, but that's all you need to do. Now I'm going to encourage you to do that a lot. Okay, a lot. Got the whole month. So put it in your calendar, vote for Dr. Vibe every 24 hours, and we can win and celebrate this together. All right, so some other things. Upcoming times you can see me live tomorrow night. You can catch me as host of State of Things with Aisha, Jill, and Lala, and three wonderful ladies giving their lens from a Black women's lens on what's going on in America and other parts of the world. Sunday, I host a conversation called Black Canada Talking, where I feature Black Canadians. And this Sunday, I have Jackie Kasandi. She's a co-founder of the Black Entrepreneurs and Business of Canada Society. She'll be on this Sunday, and they are launching a very interesting pitch competition, which they're saying is different than all other pitch competitions that are being held out there. So I really want to encourage you to check it out on Sunday live at 5 p.m. And I've read about it. I've talked to her, and I'd say, and almost anyone can qualify. And they are wanting to make all the challenges of doing pitch competitions or bring it right down to lower level. I think you can win from $25,000 to $100,000. And then coming up on Monday's show, we're going to be talking about the Butterfly Variety Show, which is going to be in Toronto on December 10th. And one of the featured performers is Ms. Julie Black. And then finally, push that subscribe on YouTube and the Facebook, especially on YouTube. I am 32 subscribers away from 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I want to really encourage you, if you feel comfortable, push that subscribe, because when I hit that 1,000, we're going to have an online celebration. All right, all that stuff out of the way, lots of things on the go. And let's get back to the main thing here. You're watching The Morning Vibe with myself today, no Ryan Knight. And it is the first Friday in December. And for the last number of months, we've had epic conversations, and a number of people are already on. So this gentleman is having positive impact, laying some knowledge bombs when it comes to finances. So welcome back again. A 30-year associate. Can I call him friend? I hope I can call him friend. Mr. Wayne Harris. How are you this morning, Wayne?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. How are things with you and your family?
Life is interesting, Dr. Vibe, and we're going to be talking about interest today. But life is interesting because I'm actually in Montreal
Okay.
this Friday, and not for a great reason. My dad has taken ill, and he's
Oh
in
no.
the hospital. So I want to give a shout out to him,
Well,
Coach
we will
Ralph
send.
Harris.
Yeah, we'll pray. We'll
And
send out prayers and good words, and we love you and we love your family. So I'm sorry about that turn, but we're speaking good recovery.
thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll show him the show later on today, and
Oh,
hopefully, oh yeah. As soon as I get the vibe, I'm going to bring the video and let him watch the show, see his son in action.
just aside before we get into our conversation today, you and I have been blessed to help a number of men, especially Black men.
Hmm.
And I just want you to share from your heart, especially with the situation you just shared with us, the importance of the Black father-son relationship.
Well, I can tell you, that's a great question. There's a majority of Black boys who do not have their father in their house, and this trend has been, alarmingly getting worse. Or that might be anecdotal, but if the divorce rates are 59% in the population in general, and the Black community, single parenthood is now predominant. The Black father is is exactly what Black boys need to give them a positive role model and give them a positive value system, so they can go out and be, as you know, Kevin Samuels will say, uh, men of stature, men of great value, men who want to have a family and take care of their spouse and their kids, and feel feel no way about it, and and look forward to it. I know I did. I was 26 when I got married. This is 30 years now with Angie, and I can tell you, uh, it was my mission in life to not only get married but stay married and have my kids grow up in an environment where they saw their father and their mother. You know, she slapped my bum when I'm in the kitchen. I do the same to her, kiss her on the neck. She giggled. The kids would see it, and they saw love in the house, so they know what they can go out there and see if they can feel that vibe with someone who's out there. And I think it's probably one of the most important things for the Black family is to get back to where we were 50 years ago and prior, even during slavery, before slavery. Marriage was foundational to the community. And I think the breakdown of the Black family has culturally affected us in ways that only men and women who want the same value system can step in and help the next generation see that this is a good thing. This is not something that should be only for other cultures. Our culture can have this. We had this. We have this in other countries. We need to get it back here in North America. I can't hear you, sir. Sorry. My audio is off. I'm not hearing you.
Not got it.
There we go.
No,
There we go.
you and a group of gentlemen have been the driving force behind a group called 100 Strong that help young men of color. So I want to say kudos to the hard work that all of you have done with that organization. So I just want to give you blessings on that, sir.
Thank you. They actually had their graduation event this week, and I was supposed to be there with the boys who graduated from the summer program. But I was here in Montreal and couldn't attend.
Sure.
The program is at least 7-8 years old.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
The stand-up conference, I believe, started in 2013. So, shout out to Ainsworth Morgan, Judge Donald McLeod, and Gary Crossdale, Ray Williams.
Yep. Many others.
Many others. I'm forgetting some names now.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right.
But these guys came together to do something positive.
And it's continuing to be positive.
100%.
All right. Investing. Interesting time of year to talk about investing when people are consumering.
Yes. Happy Black Friday, happy Cyber Monday, and all those good things. And I hope people got good deals. My question is what you consumed going to give you a return on investment? So you can buy a lot of things. And some things you can spend money, and other things you can spend money and you'll actually get a return on that money. You'll see professionals, they'll go out, they'll buy a powerful device for a podcast, better mic, better speakers, better laptop, better production equipment, because they're going to monetize that.
Yep.
And that makes sense. Other people are going to buy things that may not go up in value. And so let's just get to the definition of what investing is to start the day. And then once I have that read, I'll look for comments to see if anybody disagrees. But
okay,
what is investing? It says it's expending money with the expectation of achieving a profit or material result by putting into financial plans, shares, or property, or starting a business. So you're gonna plant a seed, and you're looking for that seed to grow. So you're not burying that seed for it to die. You're burying that seed for it to grow and for it to give a return. So that's a basic concept of investing. I give something to a vehicle, and that vehicle is supposed to give me a return on what I put that into. Basics, okay? So in order to get there, we need to rewind a little bit, because people say, I want to invest. People came up to me the other day. I was talking to some of the nurses and doctors, and they're like, yeah, I'm investing in this, and talk to me about crypto and this and that. And I'm like, all those things are interesting, and I'm not going to tell people anecdotally what they should and shouldn't invest in. If they want that, we do a free financial needs analysis. We see where you're at and where you want to go, and then we show you how to get there. But I want you to think about something. It's hard to tell people what to invest in. Why? Because things that traditionally I would not invest in are giving you a return. Case in point, some people are sneakerheads, right? Sneakerheads come out, the new Jordans or whatever, and they buy the sneaker. And they buy the sneaker because it's the OVO edition or whatever edition it is. and they'll buy that shoe, and that shoe will go up in value. It'll go up in value. I mean, back in my day, we're talking about stamps. Remember stamps and coin collecting back in the day,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Comic books, even
Hey,
back in the day.
people invest in like baseball and hockey cards. I wouldn't have.
Correct.
Right. But now,
Right. So when you look at that's from a guy perspective. From a girl perspective, uh, bags, high-end bags, Chanel bags, Hermes bags, this
Louis
Birkin bag,
Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton, and all these things are out there. These things actually have an opportunity to go up in value. People are buying these status symbols to to make money. So they say, I'm going to buy this bag in this color, not because I want the bag, and I will never use it, by the way. It's going to stay in the box because a $15,000 bag, 2, 3, 5, 10 years from now will double in price. And the women who know. I want to think about things like toys. If it's in the box, if you have a Captain Kirk from 1972 in the box, and you have the full Star Trek bridge in the box, untouched, that will be money. You probably bought it for about $10 in the 70s, but it's probably worth a lot of money now. You think about high-end watches, Rolex, and all the other names of the high-end watches, Hublot and so on. These watches go up in value because they're timepieces. And then you look at things like art. And this is probably one of the ones that is so interesting because you can buy a piece of art and people know that if the artist passes away, there's no more art to come. So it creates a scarcity and up goes the price. So if you look at Basquiat and these artists from back in the day, Picasso and Monet, anybody, they're not making any more of it. So whatever's there is there. And that means scarcity creates the demand and the price goes up. So I'm not going to say to don't do those things. I'm going to say there's probably a portion of your portfolio that could be in these things and keep that number small. So if you're going to go out and buy Air Jordans in a certain color, in a certain size, I wear size 13, but I probably wouldn't buy that certain brand of Air Jordan that is going to go up in value in size 13. I'd probably buy it in size 8 or size 9 because the majority of the people will be wearing that size and I can get that shoe sold in the 8 or 9. So when I go to someone's house and in my size, I see all these size 8 or size 9 shoes in their closet. It's because those shoes are not for personal consumption. Those are for resale. And depending on where you live and how you do your taxes, I'm not an accountant, those may be cash deals. So there is no tax implication on some of those transactions as long as the goods are approved to be legitimate. So that's kind of cool. So let's think about this for a second. I want you to ask yourself, why should we invest? Why do you invest, Dr. Ryan?
Well, I want to parking lot that for a second because I want to talk about, and I think I'm not the only one on this conversation. I was never raised in an investment environment.
Right.
Right. I was more like save your money, save your money, save your money.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think for me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one watching this live on the replay, the challenge of taking yourself out of an environment where you basically save, or not shown or even given the example of how to invest, to go to an environment of investing.
Yes.
That's a hard thing for many people.
And some people are only learning it as adults. So, my father's from Barbados, my mother was from Barbados, and they did things differently in Barbados. And depending on the socioeconomic level of where you were in Barbados, you wouldn't have the income to invest. You had enough to survive. You're talking 3 meals a day and shelter was basically where you're at.
Yeah.
So you come to Canada with that scarcity mentality. So you start doing what the squirrels do. Squirrels go out and get the acorns all spring, summer, and fall. So when winter comes, they have something to eat. The same thing with people who come up with a scarcity mentality or do not have financial literacy knowledge. And coming from a Caribbean background, I'll speak in this area because that's my lived experience.
Same here.
My parents did Canada savings bonds. This was the only investment they knew. It was guaranteed by the government of Canada, and they knew that they put that money in there, they would not lose money. And in those days, the 60s, 70s, and 80s, bonds were probably a great idea. I know bonds were paying double-digit rates at some point in the 80s and 70s. So you buy that bond, the bond will mature, you cash that bond out. But what they didn't understand was the tax implication of interest bearing investing. It is the highest tax you can pay. You pay tax on 100% of everything that you get from an interest bearing investment. So we're going to talk about the three types of return you can get and the tax implications of those returns. But getting back to that, to avoid showing that they didn't understand the financial system in Canada and the United States, a lot of our West Indian parents did one of three things. It's the same thing, but it's called three different names. There's the susu, the patna, and the meeting. And this is a group of friends getting together. One person is the banker, and they would put in $100 each or $200 each every week. And every week, one person would get the payout. So if you had 12 people in the group, 12 people will contribute. That's $2,400, and one person will get $2,400 every month. And you would wait for your hand to come around. And when you got your hand, what people would do, this is money that is held by a banker. There's some problems with that because if anything happens to the banker becomes corrupt, there is no recourse because you're really doing shadow banking, and the government's going to say you were doing something illegal, so I can't help you. But if the banker were to die before you got your hand, that money would become their estate and you would have no recourse. But most people didn't think about that because they were in their 20s and 30s and maybe 40s. They would take the money when they got their hand and they would send barrels back home, or they would use that to buy their ticket to go back to home. In my case, my parents' case, Barbados, in your parents' case, maybe Jamaica. Or they would send things for their siblings and their parents because they felt an obligation and a responsibility that if they're going to be in North America, that they can't have their siblings and cousins and parents suffering if they're up here living the good life. So that level of care and responsibility to their roots is honorable. But what it did was it took a lot of their investing dollars and moved it to the Caribbean. So therefore, when you see low home ownership rates in the Black community, it wasn't because they didn't have the money for the down payment. It was because they used the money for the down payment to help their parents and help
Yeah.
their siblings in foreign countries. And something had to give the opportunity cost. So when you look at Toronto as an example, and you see the lack of home ownership and the high rental rates of the generation before us, that has to do with them not making enough money to do both, buy a house up here as well as take care of their family in the Caribbean or Africa, depending on where they came from. There's something's got to give, and they said I would rather rent and know that my sisters and nieces and nephews are taken care of than buy because I want to leave and go back to the Caribbean at one point, and I can't go back if I've never helped contribute. They would feel away. So that's why I think we missed a wealth generating generation because they had that pay back and pay to their roots and didn't leave a whole lot left for their kids.
Okay. So just to doing a reset here, it's Financial First Fridays with Wayne Harris. He's talking about investing here. So if you're watching live, especially, please questions, comments are welcome. Fitnance IQ Cam has been watching you all the time when you come on here. It says, when I learned the different types of income and how they taxed it, it blew my mind.
Yes. So
Also,
let's
she's
go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go back.
No,
We'll go back.
so we're going to talk about the big three in a second,
Yep.
and once you understand that and you recalibrate your portfolio to take advantage of what you know about the tax system, life can be a lot better for you and much better for the generations to come if you learn these lessons. But go ahead.
Okay, no problem. No, it's this is I want you to drive the ship. I'm just steering the ship today. She also says, imagine if partner Susu was investing, how much more we would have.
So there are investment groups, and there are people who do that. They come together, they buy stock together, they come together, they buy funds together, they come together, they buy businesses together. So there are cultures that do susu, but they do susu to the point of $10,000, $25,000 each. And they do it annually. They say, I've got my 25. We've got 10 people with 25. That's $250,000. Now we all go and buy a house together as a private corporation. And we go buy the house. Next year, 25 each, 250,000. We're using everyone's credit. Some will have bad credit, some will have good credit. Sometimes we'll live in the house. Sometimes the house will have multiple units. So the home, the corporation that owns the corporation, that owns the house, the people who have invested can actually live in the property and pay market rent as if they were a tenant. But now they have equity being built. And then you have the rules that will allow you to cash out of that investment. So if someone wants to leave early, you're going to pay a penalty. But we say we're going to run this for 5 years. At the end of 5 years, we're going to refinance and give everybody a share, right? And the tax implications of that are a little bit different because your owner now is not principal residence, and we don't get into all that. I'm not the accountant and the tax man, but I can tell you, why is everyone out there being a lone ranger when every other culture is a posse?
Mm.
Why
You
are we
know,
trying to go out and buy houses by ourselves?
this brings up a okay, we'll land here. I know Ted has some comments. We'll get him in a second. That
Hmm.
when people think of the word gang,
Mm-hmm.
do they first think a negative or positive thing? Most people.
Mostly negative.
Okay, let me put it out here, people. Apple is a gang. They're a group of people, think the same, act the same. They're a gang. They have a focused goal. They're a gang. The banks, they're a gang,
Mm.
right? They even though they represent different entities, they're all out for the same purpose. They're a gang. We have to start thinking to be an economic gang as a people. We've got to collaborate together and go after the prize. We
Yeah.
have to be economic. I'm gonna thought about it. We have to be economic gangbangers.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought about that, being economic gang. So this whole thing about gang can be a positive thing. Grocery stores, they're a gang. They're
The,
a gang.
The Vatican, and the church is a gang.
Yeah, they're a gang. They're
Yeah.
a gang. Okay, let me go back to Ted's comments here. He's saying, I purchased my car at 16 years old by participating in a partner, whichever way you want to spell it. It taught me discipline to put my money away weekly. And then he also says, but I recognized right away that I was losing money because there was no interest on the money and I had to pay the banker for holding my money.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
Fitness
Go
IQ,
ahead.
yeah, Ted, it certainly teaches discipline.
Yeah. I'm all about the discipline. The question is the discipline at what cost, right? So if you look at inflation right now in Canada, last numbers I checked were about 6.9%.
Yeah.
So 6.9% is the bar. That's a minimum bar. That means your investments need to earn 6.9, and that means you're earning zero. You have to make more than 6.9 to have a real rate of return. Well, there's very few things that are bulletproof that will earn you more than 6.9%. Very, very difficult to do if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know where to look. Those things are readily available, and some of them are even guaranteed, but most people don't know about them. So let's talk about this for a second. So why invest? So you want to invest because you want another source of income. This is good. Two, you want to fund your retirement, right? Why would you want to you want to avoid having more month than money. I'll say it again. You want to avoid having more month than money. You don't want your money running out on the 21st or 22nd. You have to get all the way to the 30th or the 31st, right? When you get older and you retire, you don't want to outlive your savings, or you have to work
Mm.
till you die, right? Some people have pensions, and that's great, but most people don't have pensions. I think it's only 17% of people who have pensions, and depends on the kind of pension they have. This is a defined benefit pension. This is the best pension you're going to get. It's a federal government, provincial government, municipal government, an old school pension. If you work at a financial institution, you've been there longer than 30 years, you probably have one of these defined benefit pensions. They're the best. They run the money for you, and it's indexed to inflation, which means when the cost of living goes up, your amount goes up. It's
What's up?
fantastic. Only 17% of people have those pensions. So
Wow.
what about the rest of us? That means you have to know what you're doing to stay equal with the market or try to beat it. And that is tough for people who do this for a living, let alone someone who doesn't know anything about it. Okay?
Mhm.
Add a couple of things. What about balancing this against your debt? So people say, I want to invest. Well, why would you invest at a high interest savings account? And these things are high now. Some of them are north of 3%, some of them are north of 4%. And that sounds great because you're still thinking with a 2% inflation mindset. A 2% inflation mindset says a 4% guarantee on my money is fantastic. The
Mhm.
problem is I'm at a 4% return, but a 6.9% inflation.
Hmm.
I'm still underwater, bro.
Yep. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So take it one step further. You have a credit card that you're paying at 19.9, 21.9, 24.9, and you're earning 4% on your investment. You're upside down 15% at minimum. So before you can start talking to me or anybody else about investing, where should I invest? Crypto, this, that. How about taking a look at your debt and what it's costing you? How about getting rid of all debt that does not make you money? If you have real estate, it's going to have a mortgage. But if it has a mortgage and the place is rented out, it makes you money. So if you're going to invest in real estate, it should not be a single family home. This is kind of the romantic Disney version of real estate investing. I'm going to get a single family home. I'm going to live there. But if you're in a single family home, yes, it's an investment because the equity, the value of the house is going to go up. But there's no money coming in. We want debts where the money is coming in, not money
Mhm.
going out. So think about this: your single family home, 4 bedrooms, 2 car garage in the suburbs, is an investment because it's going to go up in value, or it has pretty consistently. But imagine if you had a basement apartment. Imagine if you had a duplex. Imagine if you had a triplex. Imagine if you had a 12-unit apartment, lived in one and rented out the other 11. And then the building gets paid off. You ever drive down some of these streets where it's all apartment buildings?
Yep.
On like a Wilson east of Bathurst,
Yep.
all apartment buildings on both sides, all
Yep.
low rise. All
Yep.
those buildings are like 70 years old.
Yep.
Yeah. Mortgages go for 25 years. These buildings are 70 years old. That means most of them don't have mortgages.
Yep.
And they've got 15 to 20 tenants
Yep.
paying every month. You
Month.
see how the ATM machine runs for the families that own those businesses?
Mhm.
Right. So we need to look at that, and we're looking at rental income real estate only. You want to get a single family home, God bless you. But if you're going to take money in this market with interest rates as high as they are and housing prices volatile but coming down for the most part, there's a here's your chance. Here's your chance. But here's the issue. If you go out by yourself with your own income and your own credit, you might win. But if you go in a gang or a posse, I prefer the
The
word
gang.
posse.
The gang. The
Right? You
gang.
take that posse and you go find those properties, you're sure to win because you de-risk yourself. Everybody has an interest in it, and there's less burden for you, but the opportunity for you to move fast and move now is there.
Okay.
Okay,
Just some update on some comments. Another little quick break. Ted says
sure.
facts got to keep it up, if not surpass inflation rate.
Hmm.
Ray from the Macmillan Group. Good morning, gentlemen. Even those with pensions haven't worked with advisors to determine how those pensions will finance their retirement, which could be as long as 30 years in some cases.
Yes.
Also, for many retirees, their single family home is going to be a liability as their incomes doesn't allow them to maintain their homes. We are seeing it as our client portfolio is aging.
He's 100% correct.
Ray knows what
He's
he's
a
talking about.
Listen. If I go back and speak to 1994 Wayne, when I bought my first place in Toronto, 1994 Wayne was looking at townhouses and, you know, two-story homes. Why? Because I never lived in anything like that. I lived in duplex units and apartments my whole life. So when I would see the TV shows with the Huxtables and the kids coming down the stairs, I'm like, coming down the stairs from where? I'm like, they're coming from upstairs? There's an
It's
upstairs?
another floor.
Yeah. I'm like, that I've got to have it. So the status in me pushed me towards buying homes that had lots of stairs, upstairs, downstairs, and that's great in your 20s when I bought, well, yeah, 20s when I bought my place. But now I'm in my 50s. Man, when I saw those, when I drive through the town where I live, all I'm looking at is those ranch style houses. One level, maybe a basement, a walkout basement to the backyard, 50 foot by 120, 150 foot lot. And my kitchen, my bathroom, and my bedroom are all on the same level.
Same floor, same floor.
That's what you need when you're a senior.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need when you're a senior. Not a whole bunch of stairs. When the doorbell rings, I got to go downstairs. And when I want to do laundry, I have to go down 2 sets of stairs because the laundry's in the basement because our place is almost 40 years old. So you have to go from the upstairs bedroom down to the main level and then down to the basement and to do laundry.
Yep.
Well, who wants to do that in their 70s or 80s? Talk about the teachers who became teachers at 25 or 21 and retire at 55, 56 because they put in their 30 years. That pension plan was designed for them to live maybe 20 years after they retired, but they were hoping they retired at 65 to go to 85. Well, they're retiring at 55 and living to 100. That means they're
Mm-hmm.
pulling on that pension.
Yep.
And they're coming and they're at the top of the pay scale. They're principals. They're vice principals. They're making 6 figures.
Yep.
And they're pulling on that at 6 figures. And the new teachers are coming in and they're making 50 grand.
Yeah.
And they're paying into it. Oops. You see what's happening now? That's why when you see the Ontario Teachers Pension Plan invest $95 million into a crypto exchange and it goes bankrupt, and they say we wrote off $95 million. People are like, $95 million is a lot of money. Yes to us, but no to them because they have over $440 billion.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Running. So when you have $440 billion running, you're probably making more than $95 million in interest a year. So they can afford to write off $95 million. That'll probably help their tax position by losing that $95 million. But they own Cadillac Fairview, and Cadillac Fairview owns most of the malls you see in Canada.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So understand that the pensions have to find places that this money can only win and not lose. And real estate has been one of those things to help the pensions. If there's any questions, I'll take them, and then I'll go into my next concepts.
I have a question,
Sure.
point, and in that, and maybe you're going to talk about this later. So if you are, tell me about starting small when it comes to investments, because a lot of people, investments I got to do. Just starting small. That mentality, just starting small when it comes to getting into investing.
Yeah, good point. I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever heard of RBC Wealth?
Yes.
Have you heard of JP Morgan?
Yes.
Have you heard of TD Wealth?
Yes.
Have you heard of IG Wealth, which used to be Investors Group?
Yes.
Yes. When's the last time you heard from them?
Crickets?
Exactly. Because in order to play ball, you have to come with a lot of money. They're not looking for the small investors. So when you say I have $50 to give a month to a tax-free savings account, $50 a month to give to a Roth IRA for the Americans who are on here, they don't want to talk to you. They say if you don't have $250,000, you can't talk to us. So you need somebody who's willing to talk to everybody. And that's what I do. I talk to everybody. You have $50 to put away? I'll work with your 50. We'll get that to 600. Then 600 will get to 6,000. And then we'll start moving the money. And then you have returns coming in, and we're teaching you the discipline at a small amount. So as little as $50 a month can get you going with us in investments that were usually reserved for people who had minimum buy-in 25,000, minimum buy-in 100,000. You can play it with some of the big league investment companies at $50 a month if you choose the right investment channel to work with to make that happen. And I'm one of those channels.
Excellent. And throughout this conversation, again, whether you're watching live on replay, I've shown Wayne's contact information. There's his calendar to book an appointment with him. There's his email address. There is his Instagram. So he is available to help you win.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bottom line, he's available to help you win. So also want to shout out Dr. Tachi chiming in from Fort Lauderdale, host of Mediascope, the livest online show about media, tech, and pop culture on Wednesdays, 5 p.m. Eastern time on Instagram, and then on many other platforms, including YouTube and Facebook Live, 6 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesdays. And Dr. Tachi, we keep on missing each other. We got to chat sometime. And here's Ray saying, this segment here about pensions is very important, and we need to understand it, that pension planning is critical to quality of life in the later years.
He's absolutely right. So maybe, excuse me, maybe we should have a show on retirement, and pensions will be a
Yes.
part of that conversation.
And it's a very great point, Wayne, because a lot of people in our environment will think, they hear baby boomers. It's not just non-melanated people who are baby boomers,
Correct.
right? Like the baby boom hit our people too, right?
Exactly.
So I think that's a huge conversation piece that we need to talk about, because I think they're probably, well, it's interesting, and it's be interesting. Again, this is where demographics come in. I have a feeling that there are probably more Black Canadians that are under 30 than over 30. But still, even if you're under 30, you still got to be thinking about retirement.
Yeah, the millennials are a big cohort, the boomers being the biggest. The boomers are people born between 1946, after the end of World War II, to 1964 in the United States. In Canada, it may go to 1966, but usually it's 46 to 64. The people born in 1946 turned 65 in 2011. And if average lifespan is 20 years after retirement, 65 to 85. So we are in 2022. That means these folks are 11 years into a 20-year wealth transfer never seen before in the history of mankind. There's more money that's going to transfer from grandparents to kids to grandkids in the next 9 years, and in the last 11 that has ever transferred in the history of the world. The question is, how much of that wealth is transferring to our families? How much of that wealth is going to get taxed and go to the government before it goes to your family? How much of that wealth is earning beyond inflation and doubling in a time frame that makes sense? So we get back to a previous show, we talked about the rule of 72. And the rule of 72 states that if you take the number 72 and divide it by your rate of return, that's how long it's going to take for your money to double. So for instance, you're making 6% on your money. 72 divided by 6 is 12. That means it's going to take 12 years for your money to double. Well, if you have your money in Susu partner meeting and it has zero return, the money will never double. It'll always be the same. But inflation is working on that money at 6%.
Yes, right. You're losing.
Correct. So if you put the money into a savings account and it's earning 1%, 1.5%, then you're still 70, 80 years for your money to double. Well, I'm 56. I can't wait 80 years for my money to double. I need my money to be doubling in my 60s, my 70s, and hopefully I make it into my 80s and my 90s. So I need my money to be doubling. That means I have to take a little bit of higher risk and different risks. So let's talk about those risks. We need to look at geolocation for risk. You may not want to have money in Ukraine now. You may not want to have money in China now. You may not want to have money in the United States now. Everybody's losing money. It's bleeding red everywhere. But it's not bleeding red everywhere. It's bleeding red in most places where people are used to going, but it's not bleeding red everywhere. So people hear the news, and the news talks about big things, but there's small things that are making money. Most people don't know about. So there's geolocation. I want to invest in Africa. I want to invest South America, North America, Asia. Okay, geolocation. Then there's industry. I want to invest in some financial services. I want to invest in some healthcare. You think healthcare might be a good investment after a pandemic? Might be a good investment. I want to invest in some infrastructure. People who are building highways, building seaports, building airports. I want to invest in that because you know those things are 724, 365, right? I want to invest in things that have a nice rate of return over a longer period of time. I've got time to wait, let's say.
So Wayne, can I interrupt you? And I'm glad you're reading my alleged mind. I'm also, and I don't know if you're going to talk about it now, but people have to take the mindset of investing long term.
Yes.
So I don't know if you're going to touch it now, but before you jump out, I want if you can share your thought process about long term, because too many people I know of, they want that quick turnaround.
Right. So we have in Canada, we have the tax-free savings account. I believe the Americans have something called a Roth IRA. That's pretty much what ours is modeled on. But a tax-free savings account basically says this: you can put money that's been taxed already, put it into this investment, and that investment will never be taxed again. And the gains on that investment will never be taxed again. It's a fantastic device. It was supposed to be the tax-free investment account because when you hear the word investment, you think long-term. But when you hear the word savings, you think short term. Well, the government gave us a tool, but it wouldn't allow it to be named appropriately. And people use their tax-free savings account like they use a checking account, and it shouldn't be. When you put money in a tax-free savings account, it should be there to stay, to help you retire, because it's honestly the best thing for people of all ranks to save money and never have to worry about, if I take it out, will I be taxed? If I take it out, will it increase my income? You can take it out and use it as you see fit. Good news is January 1st, 2023, the federal government will be raising the tax-free savings account limit from $6,000 a year to $6,500 a year. Excuse me. So if you were 18 in 2009, you have the ability to go backwards and put in up to $81,500 into a tax-free savings account, and the
You're
government
kidding.
will not ask.
You are
the government
kidding
will not
me.
ask any questions. They will not ask any questions.
Wow, that's a big bomb right there. That's a knowledge bomb right there.
Right. So you want to do that. Their registered retirement savings plan is also another way to invest. And if you want to pay tax later, not pay tax now, you can put money into RRSP, and it will reduce your taxable income based on your marginal tax bracket. It will give back up to as much as 40 or 50% on the money, depending on what tax bracket you're in, because tax brackets go up as you make more money. So in this country, our country, Canada, the more successful you are as an employee, T4 employee, W2 in the States, the more successful you are, the more tax you pay. So your reward for being excellent in this country is more
getting
tax.
taxed more.
Right?
And that's another thing I think a lot of people don't realize. And if they look at their pay, they'll go, hold on a second. Like,
yeah.
But let's take a little pause for the cause and catch up on some comments. Dr. Tachi says, media and marketing has a big role to play on why people think of only non-melanated people as boomers. And that's Dr. Tachi's wheelhouse. And I got to get her on before the end of the year. So we got to do that. Fitnat says, oh my God, I would love to discuss retirement as well. Wayne, please bless my podcast as well. Ray, a trend recently is for Black nurses to incorporate to take all their income and forego their hoop pension. Not sure who's advising them, but none are maximizing or even using retirement vehicles.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Now I'll go back to Ray's comment. I know you wanted to say something to that.
So I've been talking to some of these nurses. So what happened was, with the vaccination mandate, some of them said they didn't want to take the vax, so they were summarily fired. So they got their pensions, some of them 20 years before they were supposed to get it. Now the cash is in their hand. The money has to be put into something called a locked-in retirement account. So a LIRA, it's like a RRSP, but you can't touch it for the most part. If you are in financial distress, you can take up to 50% of it, but for the most part, you're supposed to leave it in and not touch it till you're at least 55 years of age. So they move the money from the pension and they put it in the LIRA. The LIRA can be invested in many different things. But if they don't know what they're doing, the lira will earn less money than it was earning in the pension, which is not a good thing. So you got to at least meet the pension. And the pension's thinking, I've got to pay out to 80-year-olds and I've got to make sure it's there for 20-year-olds. So the pension is much more conservative in its investment because it has to pay out today and it has to make sure it can pay out tomorrow. But you only have to worry about yourself. So why are you being as conservative in the pension? You should be able to look at your risk tolerance. And we have something called a KYC, which is a know your client. We also have an investment questionnaire that I can work with you on and walk you through to see what your risk tolerance is, see what your time horizon for your investments to actually pay out when you're actually going to need the money, and work through all those parameters. And then based on when you're going to need the money, how much money you need, what your risk tolerance is, we'll find out what kind of investor you are, and then I bring those investments that meet your risk tolerance. So you'll be able to sleep at night when you see the market going up, market going down, but you have a 15-year time horizon. It doesn't matter what you're hearing on CNN because you don't need the money today. You need the money 15 years from now. You think the market's going to be exactly the same 15 years from now? I don't think
No.
so.
Yeah.
So we adjust on an annual basis, but we work with the time horizon that you need. A 21-year-old has a different time horizon than a 61-year-old. The 21-year-old should be more aggressive because they have more time to recover if something goes wrong. A 61-year-old should not be, all things equal, not as aggressive because they have a shorter timeline before they're going to need the money to live on. So once people understand their time horizon and they understand their risk tolerance, most people are risk averse in our community because they do not understand investing. So they say, I want to lose my money, so I'm going to put it in a GIC. I'm going to put it in this account where I can't lose money. Here's the good news. You can't lose money. Here's the bad news. You can't make money.
There you go. There you
So we have
go.
to show you a way that we can just turn the dial to give you an opportunity to make some money.
Okay. Fitness IQ Cam. Yep. Think investing long term. Trevor Dunlop. Good to see you as always, Trevor. It's great hosting as always, Dr. Vibe. Well, hey, I'm not the star today. Wayne's the star. As I said, I'm just steering the ship. Real solid financial information as usual, Wayne. We need more economic resilience like everyone else.
Yeah.
Fitness IQ Cam says, haha, rewarded getting taxed more. Emojis laughing. Also, Ray says, Wayne, I was referring to foregoing T4 income as employees and incorporating and losing their hoop contributions.
Right. So that's fine if they do that, as long as what I'm seeing happening is they're going into private practice, they're becoming traveling nurses, they're doing different things like that, and they're making more money. The question is now, what do they do with that money coming in? Because it's not T4, it's being taxed in a different way. There's so many opportunities for these guys to be even more aggressive than Hoop could ever be. And if they work with someone like myself and my team, they will be able to see what those things are. We help them fully understand it, and then we'll go from there. Okay.
Okay. Comments are flying, Mr. Harris. You're on fire today. Fitness IQ Cameras. It's actually wild how many young adults haven't even taken into the stock market. I think this may be someone, win with Wayne, says Heather Harris.
Shout out to my sister.
And this is a great comment here. Dr. Tachi, who's in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, saying such knowledge.
I love it. Thank you.
Fitness IQ Cam, especially since 2008, and just reviewing certain companies. I don't know where that's applicable to, but I just put it up there. So the comments, you're on fire, Mr. Harris. Where you want to go to next?
I want to take you through the types of investing.
Sure.
The types of investments are simple. This shirt here, I don't know if you can see it. It says Toastmasters.
I saw that before you came on and going, oh my God, bring it back to old school days. And
I'm bringing back old school. Yeah. Shout out to my club, Toronto #1. It's going to be celebrating 70 years of Toastmastering. The first club in Toronto, which is why I call it Toronto #1, the first club in Toronto. 70 years in May of 2023.
Wow. Amazing.
The reason I went to Toastmasters was Toastmasters for 18 years, 2000 to 2018, allows me to be comfortable in situations like this. So I'm talking to you, I'm talking to the people, and I'm not stuttering, I'm not mumbling, I'm not umming and ahhing.
Counter.
Exactly. Toastmasters gave me those skills, and they continue to pay dividends to my income every year. So shout out to Toastmasters. I was supposed to be speaking tonight at their holiday event, but I'm in Montreal with my dad. So investing in yourself. So I read, I watch your podcast, I watch other people's podcasts. I'm attending seminars. I'm being mentored and I mentor. I am about investing in me on an intellectual level. I'm also investing in myself on an emotional level so that when situations like what's happening now with my father, I'm able to better handle it by building my personal resilience and emotional resilience. So invest in yourself. You got to eat right, sleep right, and exercise. And all those things are investing in you because what's the point of having money and not being healthy? It doesn't make any sense, right? Invest in real estate, but rental real estate. And I say that because rental real estate is like Floyd Mayweather, in the right market, in the right conditions, never lost. Rental real estate, especially if you have enough down in the right market. The government of Canada has said they're going to bring 400,000 people into this country every year. Those people need someplace to live. They're not building any low income housing in Canada because there's no money to be made in low income housing. The landlords want profit, the tenants want decent places to live. So no one has an incentive, and the government has not created a tax incentive to make people build low income housing, which means it's going to be market rent. So if you can find things that will rent for the market and you can buy it at a discount, which you can now, like you can now, I don't know, this is going to be played in the future. Right now, December 2nd, 2022, the real estate market is in your favor from a price perspective. It's moved from a seller's market to more balanced towards a buyer's market, which means the people who are buying have a little bit of advantage over the people who are selling, depending on the market. Well, here's the good news. Even though interest rates are higher than they have been in 40 years, if you come in with a posse, you have less of a mortgage. And if you have less of a mortgage, that you can add that into the equation and you should still be able to make money. So consider that. Invest in good dividend paying funds and stocks. Why? Because dividends are taxed the least of all the three investment types. Investment type number one, interest bearing investments. So this is your GIC, guaranteed investment certificate, your money market funds. These are all interest bearing things. Interest, you get taxed on 100% of what you gain. Okay? That's good that you're making money, but look at the tax implication. So maybe that needs to be in a tax-free savings account and maybe not out in the wild exposed to tax on an annual basis, which is a non-registered account. You don't want it there for the most part. Two, you have capital gains. Capital gains is I bought something for X, I sold it for Y, the profit is a capital gain. I'm going to pay capital gain taxes, which, rule of thumb is 50% of the gain goes to me, goes to me personally, and the other 50% is taxed at my marginal tax bracket. Okay. Then there's dividends, and dividends is a little bit convoluted. They have something called a gross up, and we can get into that on a personal one-on-one. But the bottom line is they say, here's what the dividend should be. I'm going to make that amount a little bit higher, and then I'm going to tax you on that amount that's a little bit higher. But I'm going to give you federal and provincial tax credits. And the dividend could be very, very little. And we're talking pennies on the dollar that you're going to pay after the federal and provincial tax credits. So dividend income is the lowest tax income that we have here in Canada. And it may be the same in the United States. I'm not licensed down there, so I can't speak to it, but I would investigate anything that's going to generate dividends, because dividends pay the least amount of tax in Canada, in our country.
It's interesting you mentioned that. Like I listened to all this stuff, and just this week, most of the major banks in Canada reported their quarterly profits, and I think it was Bank of Montreal had a lower revenue compared to, I guess, the previous quarter for last year, but they're forecasting a higher dividend. So
Correct.
now you give me more meaning now on how important dividends are. Like I thought, yeah, dividends, that's how much money, but now when you add on the tax implication compared to the other two areas you talk about, then my mind says, oh, now I've got to really think about dividends and when I can get into this market. about the dividend factor. So thank you for that, at least clarification for myself.
You're welcome. So dividends are paid on certain stocks. Not all companies offer dividends. Some
Sure.
companies will say we're going to make money and we're going to reinvest in buying more plants, hiring more employees, expanding into different markets. We're not going to pay a dividend. But other companies will pay a dividend and have paid it for 100 years and will continue to pay. And there are seniors in this country living on the dividend
Yeah.
of the companies they bought back in the day. And they didn't have to be geniuses. They just bought companies that they knew pay dividends. And these companies are usually utilities. So think
Hmm.
about your phone, think about your gas, think about your hydro. These companies usually pay dividends and they're not going anywhere.
No, in
Let's talk
fact, in
about
fact, in fact, it's only going to go up because more people are coming in their country to use them.
correct, correct.
Right. I
So
just
let's
want to
talk.
just for a quick
Go
second,
ahead.
to catch up on some things. So I think Ray was responding to what Fitness IQ came about young adults not investing in the stock market. He says Ray's saying, yeah, they're mostly buying bigger homes, spending based on their gross income, and forgetting that friend, the CRA.
Mhm.
and and then Fitness IQ Camp says dividends income are my best friends because I can't wait for them to cover my basic monthly expenses.
Yeah, 100%. So once you have dividends coming in, you know that that income is guaranteed. Plus, you're going to get your CPP, Canada Pension Plan. Plus, you're going to get your old age security. Plus, you're going to get whatever pension you have from work and RSPs. You can live a very, very good life on passive income. We have indexes or index funds. These are funds that follow the market, and they're what we call passive funds. That means no one is watching these funds. They're letting the funds run at the speed of the market. No one's going in there and turning the dial up or down. It's not being really managed. They just pick a pool of companies, pick a pool of funds, and they let the funds run, and those returns should be positive. And lastly, high interest savings accounts. I have high interest savings accounts paying 4.55 if you keep the money with me for 2 years. That's not bad. Still not inflation. So I would use a high interest savings account as your emergency fund. So what I want you to think about is I want you to have 6 months of your expenses in a high interest savings account. You cannot lose money. The money is guaranteed. You're going to get that 4.55, but that money is there when your transmission blows. That money is there when the roof leaks. That money is there when the furnace dies. That's what that money is for. And you can get ones that are 1 year or less or open at 3%. Still better than anything you're going to get from most financial institutions, but you want to use that money and not have to dip into your long-term savings for any kind of emergency. So before you start talking to me or anyone else about investing, what's your debt like? What kind of debt do you have? What's your emergency fund look like? You got 6 months in there? Remember COVID in May 2020 when people
Mm.
didn't get their CERB and were like dying because they didn't have any money? 3 months before COVID, since COVID, 6 months to a year of emergency fund. Before you start talking to me about crypto and all this funky stuff you're hearing about, do you have 6 months to a year ready available? If you got to go to, someone in your family that's close to you is sick and you got to get on the plane and go to whatever Caribbean country you came from. Do you have that plane ticket money or do you have to dip into your RSP or long-term savings? I know we're running out of time.
No, no,
I
hey,
need people.
I'm good. I'm more concerned. Like you're
Yeah.
in Montreal, so I'm good.
I'm
It's
good. I told my dad I'd be a little late,
okay.
but I want people to reduce their debt. All bad debt. If you did it on Black Friday or Cyber Monday, you're going to do it for Christmas or Boxing Day. I want you to strongly consider if you really need that item. Is it mandatory or is it discretionary? If it's discretionary, tell everybody on the planet that you love. Write them a note. Make them a plate of food. Do something, but don't be going out to the malls and spending a bag of money that you don't need to spend. Um, have your emergency fund together, and I want you to look at every expense you have coming out of your debit card. Spotify, Amazon Prime, iTunes, Google Drive, OneDrive, Apple Music, everything that you're paying for. I want you to take a look at it and say, do I need it? Call your credit card company, ask for a reduction in the interest rate. Call everybody that you have on your cell phone. Do you really need 50 gigs of data? Have you used 50 gigs of data? What does it look like? Maybe you can get away with 20 gigs or 10 gigs of data and drop your cell phone bill by 30, 40, $50 a month and take that $50 and give it to someone to go and invest for you, and your lifestyle stays the same. Are you driving an SUV that's half your take-home income because you want to be a baller? And gas is $1.52 a liter, and it's a 100-liter tank, and you need what? Maybe you don't need. Maybe you don't need a big SUV that takes premium gas. Maybe start looking at lifestyle and see where you can start taking money out so we can invest. And once you have the debt down, the spending down, and you have the emergency fund, then let's talk about investing.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
I
Got a
got
question.
you.
No
Go ahead.
problem. Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Tachi is saying, I think people understand the importance of having the amount of for savings, but for many it is extremely difficult. So what are your suggestions to get to that place? And before you answer that, Wayne, Dr. Tachi's in Florida.
Mm.
Would it be of any help for her to even contact you and get some insight from you, just appointment wise? I know you're in 2 different countries.
Yes.
Okay. No
Yeah,
problem.
she can contact me. I have folks that are licensed in Florida that I can connect her with, and they will take care of her in Florida. I've taken care of people in New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, Florida, and California um, with my network of licensed agents in those
Okay.
geos. And I'm looking to get my license in the U.S. and I'm looking for someone to work with me in Florida. So Dr. Tachi, maybe you can be a multifunctional doctor. So I'm going to show you the 8 streams of income right now. We're going to end it on this.
Okay.
Boys and girls, take notes. Stream of income number 1. This is earned income. This is you working. In the United States, this is W-2. In Canada, it's a T4. This is where you pay the absolute most tax. Earned income. Okay? But that's what everybody has. 80% of us have a job. 2, profit income. This is you buying something and selling it. Right? Houses, cars, whatever. You're going to pay the profit there, and that's basically capital gains. I told you about that tax. 50% is yours. The other 50% is taxed at your marginal tax bracket. The next is interest income. This is your high interest savings accounts, your GICs and so forth. And I already told you, you pay the highest tax on this and you get the lowest return. Okay, but it's safe. Residual income. This is where you have money coming in for work you did, not work you're doing. Residual income, work you did. So you did the work once and you get paid forever. Okay, so you want to think about things like what I have in this business is residual. Someone comes in, they do an investment. I have a couple $1 million of assets under management. I did that work once to put those assets under management. They are getting their returns, and every year they get a return. I get a return because I'm running the money for them, and that's residual. So I don't have to go out and do it every day. On December 1st, I started with what I made in November, plus everything else I did before November. December 1st, I didn't start at 0. All of you will start at 0 if you're only making earned income. So when December 31st comes, you guys end the tax year, you start at 0 and you work all year again on earned income. I don't start at 0 January 1st. I start at everything I did before January 1st. Rental income, we already talked about that. Buy the building once, get paid rent forever. Royalty income. Royalty income is people, Tom Cruise in Top Gun, Michael Jackson with Thriller. Michael's been gone 10 years, but his parents and his kids still enjoy the royalty from every song that's played on every platform and every movie. You can see the royalty income. Then there's dividend income. We already talked about that. This is the most tax efficient way to make money in this country and the United States. And then there's capital gain income. And we know the tax bracket there. So those are 8 ways to make money. The richest people in the land, both here and in the United States and around the world, this is how they do it. They have 8 ways to make money, and they try to reduce the earned income and make their money in every other category, because every other category, for the most part, is more tax efficient than earned income. But that's where we live, and we need to start looking at adding other sources of income, and that will help the poor people or the people who are at the bottom of the society. Side hustle is no longer discretionary. Side hustle is a must. The question is, how efficient tax-wise is that side hustle? You're gonna bake cakes? That's great, but if you break your right hand, you can't bake cakes. You're gonna cut hair? That's great. You break your right hand, you can't cut hair. You're gonna drive Uber? Great, but if you break your right foot, you can't press gas and brake. So you got to think about what you can do that doesn't require you physically to be there, and you can still make money. And what will continue to pay you after you've done the work. That's the holy grail, and it exists. You just have to ask somebody who knows, and my contact information is right there.
Look, some final comments before we get you to go. Fitness IQ Cam, get in the habit of saving, even if it's $5 a week, $25, $50 a month. Start slow. Ted says, great insight, Wayne. Thank you, Dr. Vibe, for providing this platform. Well, it's our platform, because if I came on by myself, you would fall asleep. So, and then Dr. Tachi says, excellent advice. And Dr. Tachi, I suggest you may want to reach out to Wayne just to get some thought process. Yeah, you're in different countries, but the fundamentals that he shares and knows is helpful to every one of us, no matter where we're at. So, Wayne, as always, I want to say thank you for taking the time, especially under these circumstances. I will be saying a prayer for your father and speaking that he will be fine. As always, I say thank you so much for your time. Blessings to you and the family. Happy holidays, because God willing, we will see you in the new year. And
same to you.
Yeah, happy holidays, and thank you for making the time the last few months. It's appreciated, and today's been outstanding, especially the feedback. And people, make an appointment. You can't lose.
Yes.
He's going to give you suggestions. You don't have to take them, but at least you say we don't want people who don't know. That's the last thing.
Agreed. Thank you
Dr.
for
Dr.
the
Tachi
platform.
says, okay. So Dr. Tachi, we're looking forward to that. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Vibe. You made my year. I really appreciate you giving me the platform. You're my boy. And you and I still have to talk.
Believe in you and your family and everything. And there we go. Ted saying happy holidays. Everyone sending prayers for you and your father, Wayne. And Heather saying blessings, Dr. Vibe. We'll talk definitely between now in the next few weeks.
You're good,
Be
man.
well and keep the faith, my brother. Take care. All right. So family, yes, there's his contact information. And family, I want to say thank you for saying prayers for Wayne and his father. Fitness IQ Cam saying amazing session. Absolutely. Great session today. Great session today. So let's get to some things here. All right. So let's catch up. I guess there's another comment here. Let me get it. Fitness IQ Cam says blessings to you and your family, Wayne. So definitely, if you do believe in prayer, yes, do say a little prayer for Wayne's father. We'd appreciate that. It's not taken for granted. So a few things, as I said at the beginning here, let's get to it. I did at the beginning. I'll just do it in the end. At the beginning, I get a screenshot and things like that. You can. The Dr. Vibe Show has been voted in the best Canadian Black Canadian podcaster category at this year's BuyBlacks.com People's Choice Awards. Go to buyblacks.com/PCA/vote to vote. You can vote every 24 hours. It started yesterday, and you can vote every 24 hours, and it goes on until the end of the month. So, hey, if you can vote once, great. If you can vote more than once, put it on your calendar saying every 24 hours you can vote. Fantastic. Next up, you can catch me tomorrow night on State of Things with Aisha, Jill, and Lala. They will be giving their takes on things going on in the United States from a Black lady's perspective. Also, Sunday afternoon, 5 p.m., I'm going to be Jackie Cassandi, co-founder of the Black Entrepreneurs in Business of Canada Society. She'll be talking about their pitch competition, which is definitely more different than all the pitch competitions I've heard about, or most of them. So catch that. And then on Monday, we're going to be talking about the Butterfly Variety Show happening in Toronto on December 10th. One of the performers will be Miss Julie Black. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and like it on Facebook. So if you subscribe on YouTube, subscribe and also push the notification button too, the bell, because subscribing is great. And I want to get down to that 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you can help me, great. But the notifications when a broadcast is going to be happening, you get notified ahead of time. Let's get some final comments here. Okay. Trevor, thank you for all the great information, Wayne. Ted Evans, claps. Trevor Dunlop, thank you, Dr. Vibe. We are blessed to have you doing this. Well, myself and Ryan do this from what all the other ones. Great. And Dr. Tachi, such a great show, Dr. Vibe. we'll also thank Wayne. He was the star of the show, not me. Like I said, I'm just steering the ship, family. I'm just steering the ship. So let's do other things here. If you want to get in touch with me, those are my contact information, website, email, YouTube and Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can catch replays of the Morning Vibe at the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and Facebook, Afro Caribbean Business Network, Facebook and YouTube, and Ryan Oneil Knight on YouTube. So I think that is it. What an action-packed conversation we had today. And Wayne always brings it because he believes in you. And Dr. Tachi says, yes, and thank you, Wayne. Well, Dr. Tachi, we got to talk somehow. We keep on missing each other. And I want to speak it that you will have a conversation with Wayne. I know it'll be a great conversation. So let's end it off with this today, family. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Thank you to everyone. And not just Dr. Tachi. If anyone else wants to reach out to Wayne, he's going to tell me. So I'm watching you, family. I'm watching you. All right. God bless. Peace well. Keep the faith. Walk good. We'll see you on Monday. Take care.